And I want to share with you this morning a topic that is so important. And I'm sure we're all hearing a lot about it because we're into the party season, the Christmas season, which means that there's a lot of extra food and sweets and beverages that we don't maybe typically indulge in, or that we're indulging in excessively. And the other part of it that's always important to me, and where I start in my personal life and my business, is body first. So if we haven't already met, I'm Laurel Lyon, and I'm here today with my friend Melissa Deely, who's been here before. She's back because she's a wealth of information. And something special about Melissa is that she lives on one of the best ski mountains in the world, here in Canada, in BC. And so welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me, Laurel. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we knew that it was important. The reason we were having this conversation today is because, what does that look like for people? Getting out and being healthy and prioritizing yourself is about, like, what does that look like? It doesn't mean just go shopping for an afternoon with the girls, to decompress, but actually it's about moving the body, which we're both really passionate about. So I'll just turn the floor over to you and share with us about what it looks like for you in your health regimen.
Sure. And I do live in Whistler, British Columbia, so very close to nature. And that was a very conscious decision that I made almost 30 years ago. I came here for one season, but when I got here and I realized, even at the age of 22, 23, that being so close to nature and spending time in the outdoors was incredibly healthy, I decided to stay here, even if it meant making less money in my career than going on to London, England, and a world of merchant banking. And I've never once regretted that decision. And I love nothing more than being in the outdoors. And nature is so healing for us in so many ways. And especially in the last 18 months, when we've had so many lockdowns and so many restrictions and people spending more time outdoors, I just really want to remind people of the importance of being outdoors, right? And the fresh air and the sunshine. I mean, the benefit that both of those have in boosting our immune system are incredible. And the flip side of that is being inside with our houses all closed up, because now, at least in, the northern hemisphere, we're into winter. We're living in recycled air. There could be mold, there could be other toxins inside our home, and that's negatively impacting our immune system. But being outdoors is also, we get vitamin D from the sun. There's antiseptic qualities to the fresh air that we're breathing in. We're getting microbes in our body from, the wind blowing them onto our skin, into our nasal passages, into our mouth as we're outdoors. And all of these things are actually boosting our health. And in addition to that, just being in nature is incredibly calming on our nervous system. And at a time when the world is more stressed out than ever, we need to be consciously calming our nervous system. And if anyone watching just stops and thinks about, the last time they went for a walk, the last time they went for a hike, they spent time in nature. Maybe it was, at the lake, on the lake, paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing, whatever it is, skiing, downhill, cross country, all of these things that we can do outdoors, riding your bike. How do you feel afterwards, right? It allows you to let go of the stresses of the day, of the moment, and just be and enjoy the feeling of the wind in your hair, or just the warmth of the sun on your skin, whatever it is. Even the freshness in winter of inhaling colder air, all of that helps calm our nervous system, which again is incredibly important for boosting our health, because it's that high stress state that's damaging our gut health and therefore our immune system, because 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut.
Well, I love that you said you consciously made a decision to live where you are. And I can totally connect with that. And I just want to say hello to everyone who's joining us live. Please type in any of your questions that you may have for Melissa, that because we'll make sure that they get answered. And if you're watching on the replay, we'll still make sure that your questions get answered. We consciously chose to live where we did also, and it was outside of the big center. And after years of living out there, my husband says, I don't think you'd have made it if we'd have stayed in the city. And my kids, one time when we were driving in, they said, Mom, why are the people in the city crazy? They were just 9 and 10. And I said, honey, just think of I just want to share with you what a gift that is that you recognize that, because they don't even realize that they're a little bit crazy. It's the stress of that pace, right? And
Exactly, that go world, right? And you just get caught up in it. And as with anything, as things happen over time, they become that habit, they become the norm. And you don't realize that you can choose to live life another way. And you don't, it's just like when you start, getting sick, not looking after yourself as well, your body starts breaking down. You start having, symptoms of, maybe it's joint pain, maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's bloating and gas, all of these things. And it just happens slowly over time. And it becomes the new norm, and you accept it as normal, and you forget how amazing it is to truly feel good and strong and healthy. And I often ask my clients, just how good are you willing to allow yourself to feel? Because when we start working together, they start feeling better and they're so amazed. And I'm like, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's keep going. Because when we create the environment for the body to start healing, it starts healing so quickly. But the first few weeks of healing, that's not the end of it. There's so much more, because over time, we've kind of let ourselves go, not realizing it.
well, you said something really significant again there, and choice,
Mm-hmm.
because what people don't realize, many people don't realize, that they have a greater say in what's going on, and the choices that they make, like you say, but also the choice to move your body, because that stagnant energy, the stagnant air, and boosting health all comes back to boosting the immune system, right? Which is everything that's going on right now. But also it leads into a topic I've been talking a lot about, is the vagus nerve, and how
Mm-hmm.
that's the stress and stress response, the fight or flight response, and how all of the simplistic environment of being in nature, enjoying fresh air and the calming, how that settles down the vagus nerve, which is triggering so many things in our body. So what do you like to do for fun? Tell me, because I watch your pictures, I comment on all your pictures, because I would love to live there. We consciously took up cross country skiing because we're on the flat prairie. But I said to my husband, maybe if we play in it more, we'll like being in the snow more, as opposed to being in Florida or California, where I usually am this time of year. But it does, yeah, it makes a difference. What do you like to do,
It
Melissa?
absolutely does make a difference. And so I love to downhill ski, and ski season just opened at the end of November. And so I consciously, block time in my calendar to get up twice a week. I usually get up on Sundays and then one midweek morning as well. And I just, block that in my calendar first so that my clients can't take that time away from me. Right.
I
And
just
then,
have to say, like, because that's really important.
yes.
And we have people watching, and it's like, this is designating time for yourself first. I do the same thing. I know that that's important. So I block out the time. So for those watching, Melissa says, block out the time, but also it's kind of like committing
Mhm.
to you.
Yes, so that is committing to you, but you also need to commit to how you're going to use that time. And this is something I had to learn as well, and it took practice. I was in the corporate world for 24 years, and I didn't block my time. And it wasn't until, change of life events for me. And I found myself back at health coaching school, which from the moment I started that, I knew that I'd found my purpose, my passion, and loved it. And I learned about the fact that self-care is not selfish, which is what so many of us believe, and myself included. And that was the biggest first aha. I've had many ahas in the last 7 years, but that was the biggest first aha that I had, because I'd had this corporate career. I was a mom of 2 girls and a wife. And I was like, what do you mean I can look after myself first? And it needed to become a habit in order to shift that mindset. It's not just after years of looking after everyone first, you can just switch it immediately. So I created myself a mantra. And that mantra is that self-care is the most selfless act, because it allows me to show up and give the world the best of me instead of what's left of me.
Oh, I like
And
that. The best of me, not what's left of me.
yes,
That's
because when
great.
I really thought about it, that's what I was giving my family, what was left of me, right? And so the next step from saying that and reciting that was putting it into action, right? How did I put that into action? Well, I realized very quickly I got to block the time for me first. What time of day is it that I want my time? And for me, it's mornings, but that's not the same for everybody. But for me, it was mornings, is having that time before everyone else was up. That was my time. And then it was, what am I going to do with that time? How am I going to spend it? Because otherwise, it's so easy to get on Facebook and just scroll, right?
Mhm.
And lose all of your time. And scrolling Facebook or social media is not self-care time. It can be
No.
very triggering to the nervous system.
Well, right? Just the nature of the screen is meant to keep us on. So I have a policy for myself that I don't do social media. I don't get on the computer until in the morning, until I've done my hydration and my body movement practice, whatever that is that day.
And I have a similar policy, and I actually don't start any client appointments before 10:30 a.m. my time, Monday to Friday, because I want that time in the morning to set myself up for success in terms of my own morning routine, as well as having time to get my email and my admin done before I start seeing clients. Because once I start seeing clients, it's back to back to back to back to back, pretty much through the day, right? And then I have time at the end of the day to then reply to all of those clients and get the email done again at the end of the day. And there are times when something comes up and I have an opportunity and it's going to impact how my morning routine goes. But then I have a choice, right? We're back to choices. And I have a choice of, is this important enough to me to change my morning routine? And if so, I will accept it. And maybe then I can shuffle the rest of my day around to get some self-care time in. Or maybe I can't, but that's again part of that decision making of, is this important enough for me to give up my morning routine, or can I change my activity? Maybe I was going to do a live gym class. Maybe I can make it work if I do a recorded yoga class instead, right? I can shift things around, but I have the power to be making those choices in how I start my day. And so sometimes I will shift around my day. Sometimes I do give up my morning workout because this is something that's really important. But those are all conscious choices that I make. And I don't feel like people are taking my time away from me. And I know that over the course of the week, I'm getting in all the movement that I want, even if, one day I don't get exactly what I had originally planned to do done. So back to what I love to do is at this time of year in winter, I love my downhill skiing. I love my cross country skiing. Unfortunately, in BC this winter, we've had a lot of rain. So cross country skiing isn't actually open yet where I want to cross country ski, but it will be in early January. So I will get out and enjoy that. And I then do at home, I do yoga classes, online gym classes, et cetera, et cetera. And then getting out for walks in my neighborhood. Again, weather dependent, ice dependent at this time of year, but getting out and breathing fresh air, even if it's just for 10 minutes, it's so powerful in just reoxygenating the body, creating more mental clarity, and giving you a fresh start for your afternoon if you've already been working all morning.
I just want to say hello to everyone who's joining us live. I'm here today with Melissa, who's an integrative health practitioner, and she lives in Whistler, British Columbia, one of my favorite places. And we're talking about prioritizing you and your health, your well-being, your mental, emotional health is all tied into that. And we've talked about the choices. And I love what you just said too about doing it online. I too live outside of a large center, but I used to drive to the actual classes, and
Mhm.
that's quite a time commitment because it's not just driving there, then it's the time, so on. So it ends up being easily a 4-hour event. So I've had an online routine with yoga and other fitness for years, and I love it even more now because there's so many more options. So it
Yes.
really is a great option for people. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. That's what I say.
Right. Yes, there's no excuses. And,
Mhm.
some of my friends say to me, "Oh, but you're so disciplined." Well, really, all it comes down to is I put it in my calendar and I've chosen something I enjoy. So why wouldn't I want to do it? Right?
It's a choice, and if you're not in the habit of doing it, it's about learning that new habit and prioritizing yourself.
Hmm. And,
It's
and choosing something you love. If you don't love yoga or you don't love cardio, a cardio gym workout, would you like a strength training workout, which is equally as important, especially for women and not getting osteoporosis, etc. And find something you love and do that, because there are so many choices online now. And
Mhm.
start off with baby steps. Try a few different things until you find one that you love. But if in your mindset you tell yourself you're not going to like it, well, of course you're not going to like it. So you have to first be open to the concept of finding an activity that gets your body moving that you enjoy.
I totally agree with you. At this time in my life, and I'm the age that I am, I have more movement, more flexibility, particularly in my hips and my joints than I've ever had in my life. My first daughter, is having her first baby. She's 6 months. And what I couldn't deliver her because my body wasn't prepared. And so we're having these conversations around what works, what you need to do, what I didn't know then, that actually right now I now have a body for birthing. I don't have all the parts, but it's it was it's been such a journey learning about how important the hormones, the health, and your supplementation, your food, and the body movement, how important that is to give you that, like you were saying, the strength and flexibility. You got to move it or lose it.
Absolutely. The body was made to move. And in our modern world, we simply do not move enough, especially for people that are at a desk job, 8 hours a day. I'm actually at a standing desk right now. And so I move it
Yeah.
up and down. I move it up and down all day. And I love nothing more than the energy when I'm speaking to be standing. And it's just really, and when I sit, I'm not even in a chair, I'm on a ball. Right. So I can wiggle and move and get all of that movement in too, but still just the energy I have standing, I notice how different that is to even sitting, right?
Right.
So there's
Mhm.
so many little things that we can be doing. But you also talked about food and supplementation, and all of these things matter as well to both our health and our energy. And again, it's choices. What food choices are you making? Because unfortunately, our food industry doesn't really care about our health. And there's a whole lot of food out there that is really negatively impacting our health in terms of the ingredients that are in it on store shelves.
Well,
And then we have
that's a whole topic, isn't it?
that's a whole other topic. But then on top of that, we have nutrient deplete soils. So even when you're buying produce, your body may not be getting the nutrients that it's truly needing even when buying clean, organic produce, etc., because our soils are depleted. And so as a result, we tend to be, lower in energy because our body is struggling because of its depleted in minerals and vitamins that are key to its overall optimal function. And that impacts our energy levels. And then on top of that, we have stress, which has us burning through and depleting even more minerals and vitamins, and we're not replacing them. And then stress is impacting our sleep. And so a lot of people are feeling fatigued, whether they wake up tired, whether they're tired mid-afternoon. And this is not normal. This is a sign, a symptom of your body's trying to let you know that you need to be doing things differently. And we can add to our energy with movement that triggers more oxygen intake and oxygenate our blood and our cells, but also through more conscious buying of our food and, good supplementation. And then another thing we have to do is detox. And that's a conversation that we don't hear very often. And that is very much an act of self-care and self-love. And it's because most of us haven't been taught how to do it. So we're not sure where to start. And it sounds very scary and I might hate it and it might be awful. But I actually have people start simply by understanding their toxic load score. And we'll drop that link in the quiz for everybody to take the quiz and discover their score, because that's an aha for people.
So I'd just like to talk too about some of the things that you've said about detox, or the things that that the around the food. First of all, around the food, like there's so much information out there that it's kind of like it's being masked. So you have to really to be able to read the labels and what we think is healthy, unless you really do the research. My husband was he's away right now, so when we're FaceTiming, and he was eating pumpkin seeds, and I said, but I recognized the brand, and I said, yeah, but they're roasted with canola oil, and like that'll send you and I both on a tangent, right?
Right.
And so if you don't understand how that works in your body, and it can be just one thing, but then you add another thing, and we're very plant-based in our lifestyle, and it's been such a journey discovering what it says on the label that looks and sounds healthy, and what it really means. And for people that are it looks like it's healthy, but you have to read the label so that you get the truth of what it is. So Melissa, I have put your link in, and today we're live streaming to several different platforms, YouTube and different places on Facebook. And that link did go out, but we'll still make sure that that link goes out to other people. Do you want to talk about the what they'll find when they download this link?
Sure. And I just want to say I 100% agree with what you've said about food. And that could be a whole other hour-long conversation that we could have. But reading labels is so important, and understanding where your food is coming from, and understanding that each of us is unique, and what may be healthy for one person may not be healthy for you at this point in time, right? Or ever, right? And that has something to do with your toxic load as well, and what your body is struggling with and what it's able to cope with. And our toxic load, the higher it is, bogs our body down and has it struggling with digestion. And then we have a hard time eating and processing even some healthy foods. So when people do this quiz, it's often an aha for people, that it's asking a whole bunch of symptoms that your body might have. And as you answer them, you might, checking them off, you might have been thinking, well, I just thought this was aging, or I just thought this was seasonal allergies, or I just thought this was my genetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a society, we're so quick to accept these things, tolerate these symptoms, and yet really they're our body talking to us, asking us to do something different. But because we're so accepting, we don't do anything different. And so it's an aha when people go, oh, you mean I can do something about this? And yes, you absolutely can. And starting with a functional medicine detox, a full detox, is the greatest way that you can start to alleviate a lot of these symptoms. And I like to say that our body starts off whispering to us in the form of a feather. And if we don't listen, it might come along and thump us with a brick. And if we still don't listen, watch out, because you might get whacked with a wrecking ball. And that's what happens, right? We all know somebody that's been whacked with a wrecking ball when it comes to their health. They didn't just wake up one morning with that level of pain or discomfort or whatever it is to get that diagnosis. It's been brewing in their body over time, and their body has been giving them symptoms and they've been ignoring them. So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
it becomes a choice. It's awareness. How is your body talking to you? And what are you going to do about it?
Can I just interject a story about that? Just
Sure.
really quick. It was because I am that one that got whacked with the wrecking ball because uh, busy in life, taking care of everybody else, and feeling like if I took time for myself, that was selfish, because there's a lot of conditioning around that, or or I wouldn't look really like I wouldn't like a good mom if I was taking care of me instead of the kids. So I got married. I was a single mom, used to working hard, and the week after I was in my new home with my new husband, I got a letter from my doctor that I was in third stage um, cervical. And I don't give the other word energy to this day. And how, just how my life flashed in front of my eyes. And I see so many people. I know people today that are going through, all of a sudden, they're in the third or fourth stage of something. It doesn't, like you say, it doesn't happen just like that. The signs are there. But I was awake through the biopsy. That was, everything was confirmed. I understood what was going on, but I took action, and that was the life-changing step for me, was having the right people around me. And here's the first conversation I had with a naturopathic doctor friend. She says, "Oh, that's easy. That'll be fun. We'll work." And I'm going through all, and there's the drama. And that's what I grew up in. Oh, I have this. Oh, but I have this. Oh, well, mine's worse. I take this. That's a real situation that goes on out there, and it keeps you in victim mode.
Mm-hmm.
Being empowered in your health takes a new attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I got over being ticked off at my girlfriend because I wanted her to feel sorry for me. And when I had the surgery done, I had to call the doctor's office because they didn't even dignify me with a phone call, because and the surgeon didn't even get on the call. And the nurse said to me, "Well, sometimes these things just go away." And I already knew my answer because I knew I had been proactive, but that just confirmed it. So if this story speaks to anyone listening, be proactive. Watch for the red signs. Get off the couch. Move your body. Question everything. Don't believe what Melissa's saying. Don't believe what I'm saying. Start doing your own research and reach out to professionals like Melissa, who can guide you to that next step. And her um, toxic loads quiz, the questionnaire, will put you in contact with her. It's going to enlighten you. Thank you so much, Melissa, for giving me the opportunity to vent my story.
No, you know
I
what? I
often
love
say,
your story. And I want to say a couple of things there. First of
Mhm.
all, I just want to let people know, if you get a high toxic score, if it tells you that you are severe or extreme, don't panic. Okay. That is simply an opportunity to know, I do really need to take action now. Right. And you can reach out to me. You can book a phone call with me so we can discuss next steps. But having your starting point is really important. And then I guide you through your detox program, and I hold your hand every step of the way. I provide recipes and meal plans, and I make it as easy as possible. And we chat through an app. So anytime you have questions, you can get them answered, and that leads to your success. And the beautiful thing is when we create an environment for the human body to heal, it will start healing very, very quickly. So every single person I've ever guided through a detox has health improvements inside 3 weeks. 3 weeks is nothing, right? They're feeling better, they're sleeping better, they've got more energy, they've got less brain fog, they've got less pain and inflammation in their joints. Those are the normal ones. And then there's, different ones on top of that, because everybody comes to it in their own state of health with their own issues. And I've never had someone get to the end of it and go, oh, gee, I wish I hadn't done that. Like, who does that, right? They're feeling amazing. And that's when I ask, okay, now just how good are you willing to let yourself heal? Because that was just the starting point.
Right.
And we can keep
Mhm.
going, right?
Right.
And to your experience, the science of epigenetics now tells us that
Mm.
it's not just your genes that dictate your health outcomes. It's your genes plus the environment you create inside your body. And the weighting of that environment in that equation is 90 to 95%
Yes.
of the equation, which means you have so much control over your health outcomes. We're just not taught this through mainstream health or public education.
Well, there's a
So,
lot of old ways of thinking, old science, and what you're saying about epigenetics is absolutely true. The DNA cell, it's not a written in stone story about
mhm.
who you are today. It gives you ideas about where you've come from, and you can look for sensitivities. And you're exactly right. I love that you brought that up, because it's a field that I'm deeply immersed in, because I've been studying live and dried blood for myself. That's one of the things we do in our house. We investigate our own DNA. I've had my DNA done, and it's confirmed so much. And that the epigenetics, they've proven it really opened up at the time of 911, where the grandchildren, they used to think it skipped a generation, the results, because they were seeing it in the grandchildren, but it is in all of us. And you're so right. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Well, I love it because it empowers everyone in their health,
Yeah.
right? And when you know this, again, you're going to listen to your symptoms and know I can make a difference. I can change something in my life to help alleviate this symptom. And if I keep my body clean and create an body that's inhospitable to disease on the inside, my inflammation levels are at normal levels, not chronic levels. Those genes never have to get turned on, and I get to control my health outcomes. And that is incredibly powerful. And that's what I love to teach and share and work with my clients on.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I have a podcast. It's called Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call. So that's, the wrecking ball, right? That I try to share with people health information that, again, isn't taught. And that busy working person doesn't have time to go back to school. And like I have for, 3 years of the last 7 years, and hear things that they can do and implement in their
Mhm.
daily life to help them start to make these shifts. And it's all baby steps. It's not change everything and start new tomorrow. It's start implementing things in small steps.
Right. Do you have the link handy for the podcast? If you can slip that to me, I'll further put that
Oh,
in.
absolutely. I can
And
drop that in right
yeah,
here.
yeah. And further to what you said about DNA epigenetics, and that I I'm proof that I'm healthier than I was in my 30s and 40s, from a cellular standpoint, and the memory, how I have a better memory than I've ever had in my life, because of the choice to change. And when people say, oh, this is what to expect when you're aging, stop saying that.
Yes.
That's the one that I correct. Well, what do you expect? You're the age that you are. That's like yeah, that's when it brings up swear words for me.
I agree. I agree. And again, it's such a societal norm that we expect to feel worse as we age. And it truly does not have to be that way when we listen to our body talking to us and take action. And I'm in my mid 50s and I feel better than I did in my 30s because I know all of this now and I implement what I teach and I live it myself. And
Right? Yeah.
my mentor, actually, at age 17, his name's Dr. Stephen Cabral. And at age 17, he was diagnosed with 3 chronic illnesses, autoimmune diseases, and
Mhm.
given drugs and said, sorry, this is as good as it's going to get. We're never going to be able to, cure this. And he could barely get out of bed. It was his grade 12 year of school. He could barely get out of bed, and he's being told by his doctors that they can't do anything for him. Well, he had a pity party, and then he decided, you know what? This isn't my life. This can't be why I was put on this earth.
Yeah.
And he decided that mainstream medicine failed him. He was going to go and research all the other types of medicines until he found the best medicine in the world that was going to heal him.
Mhm.
And so he spent 10 years going to university, becoming a naturopathic doctor. Then he studied Ayurvedic medicine in Sri Lanka and India, Chinese medicine in Beijing, orthomolecular medicine, bioregulatory medicine. And over the course of 10 years, he completely healed himself, but
Mhm.
also realized there's no one best form of medicine, but you can take different aspects of all the different types of medicine and apply them to help people heal.
Yeah.
And he's living proof he healed himself. And it's his detox program that I offer because I know it works. I've done it myself. I've taken so many clients through it. And as a naturopathic doctor, he's created it at a level that it's got all the nutrition the body truly needs. Remember, we talked about depleted soils, right? Our liver isn't getting the nutrients it needs to properly cleanse our body and get the toxins out. And we still have 144,000 man made chemicals in our environment since World War II. So it's both bogged down and undernourished. And
Right.
it's so critical to our health because when it can't get those toxins out, they get stored in our fat cells to keep them out of our bloodstream, and we become toxic. And as our toxic load increases, so do our symptoms, so do our food sensitivities. Our body gets stressed, so our gut breaks down. And Hippocrates said, all disease starts in the gut. And
Yeah.
he knew that 2000 plus years ago, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, modern science is only coming to be able to prove it true in today's world. So
Mm.
we have to look after our inside body. And in Ayurvedic medicine, they still detox to this day, Latin American medicine, Asian cultures. It's only in the Western world where we think, oh, I'll have a shower and that's good for good health and good hygiene. Well, it's good for good hygiene, but it's not enough for good health. We
Well,
can't ignore our inner body.
in times gone by, they would always do as the spring tonics, the fall tonics. Yeah, that was a few generations back, and the culture today is very much fast food, drive through, and our groceries in the store are very much about fast foods. What can we get fast? And that's where you're getting all the chemicals and that. So
Exactly.
it starts with the choice and awareness and commitment to self. So Melissa, I want to thank you so much for bringing all of these issues and solutions forward. And to those who are watching, I invite you to follow up with Melissa. Check out her toxic load quiz. I've dropped that in the chat box, and it'll be in the comments below if you're on a different platform. And reach out to Melissa. She has a podcast, Your Guided Health Journey. So make
Sorry.
sure. I did check out your podcast. I've been on your podcast and
Yeah,
listened to
it's
some
Don't
of it.
Wait for Your Wake Up Call. Your Guided Health
Oh,
Journey is my company name, and the
oh,
podcast
pardon
is
me.
Don't Wait for Your
Pardon
Wake
me.
Up Call.
I
Yeah.
was looking at the wrong link there, but I've been on your podcast and listened to some of them. So thank you to everyone who's come on live, watching on the replay. Type your questions in, and Melissa will be sure to answer any of those questions for you. So
I'd love to answer them. And if I may, January is always a time of year where people are like, okay, I'm going to look after my health. So I do have a program starting, a detox program starting. So if people would like to know about that, feel free to reach out to me via my website or just melissa@yourguidedhealthjourney.com.
yeah.
And let's start your year off right. But my programs aren't just do it once and then you're done. My programs teach you how to make it a lifestyle because that's what's important.
Mhm. Oh, thank you so much for joining me today, Melissa.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to have this conversation, Laurel.
Always, yeah.